Now, Tanya, you were saying some really interesting things when we left off before. Uh, you remember what they were?
Yeah, I went to a graduation and hadn't seen it was my cousin's child. I haven't seen them forever. I mean, they were tiny last time I saw them. So this young man approached me and I just assumed it was the graduate. Um, and he sat down with me and I congratulated him. He says, "Oh, I'm not the graduate." And then I thought he was his brother because I thought it was weird that he was walking up to me. And I said, "Oh, you must be his brother, blah, blah." And he's like, "Nope, but I graduated with blah, blah." And I said, I had no idea who this kid was, but he just sat down and started chatting with me and talking about technology and what he does. And it was kind of weird. It was almost like we gravitated towards each other. And that's why he sat down and talked to me. We talked for almost an hour about AI and its effects on the world and how people are reacting to it. And he said how AI in colleges, he quoted, and I don't know how true this is, but like Cambridge and Stanford, that they're utilizing AI tools to detect whether students are using AI and they're getting false positives. And that was intriguing.
So they're trying to see if kids are using AI.
Yes.
And it's saying that the kids are using it when they're really not. Is that what's happening?
Exactly. And so there's two things happening. Of course, the kids are reacting or the students are reacting in a way that's, allowable, understandable, but the professors are afraid to use the software to detect AI because of the false, positives that are coming up. So that was intriguing to me. I feel like a lot of, and also he said he's a web designer and he says he just goes into ChatGPT. He actually has ChatGPT 5.0. He pays for it and he interacts with it in this way that's not, he feels like people aren't using AI correctly. Like they're just using it for an answer, almost like a Google response, but he interacts with it. And this is the way I tell teachers to interact with it. They're like, "Can I use AI just to get the answers to these questions about this book that, our superintendent wants to do and the real situation?" And I said, "Yeah." And I said, "You're not just going to copy and paste, are you?" She goes, "Oh, no, I wouldn't copy and paste." And I said, if you interact with the AI and have discussions with the AI in a way that like you're just asking questions and it's answering it, and then you're saying, "But what about this?" And when I told that kid that he's a young man, I don't know why I'm calling him kid, but he said, "Yes, yes." He goes, "That's the way people need to interact with AI," because he does coding. Like he'll put something in there, like what is the, JavaScript for blah, blah, and how to do this and whatever. And then he will tweak it and add his own little creative twist to it. Yeah, so we talked about AI for a little bit, and actually some of the tools that we've been teaching to teachers and the conversations we've been having with teachers, what you did recently, Roger, I think kind of goes along with that.
So what's the right way to use? A couple of theory things that happen. First off, I think students are using AI without a doubt. Kind of number two is it's really, really hard for teachers or professors or anybody to accurately determine whether somebody wrote a composition or whether AI did. And especially the better you are at writing, the more likely it is to be tagged as AI, even if it's not AI. And so that brings us to, so how do we handle this? What do we do with this new tool that we have available?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to add it to your instruction and just put it out in the forefront. It's just like and this isn't a great example, but when Twitter came out, everybody was just like, "What's this thing that all the kids are using?" And then eventually it turned into you would search for hashtags and you would see what's happening, hashtag Egypt, and then you do searches in there, and then you could find content that was related to your curriculum. So you just have to figure out how to make that tool work for your already used curriculum. Now, like what I probably would do, and I told my oldest son to do this, that just ask it about the outline, have it start your outline, or have it write one very vague paragraph, like the teacher gives the kids the prompt, that's the prompt that they have to put in, and then they have to add 6 more paragraphs to that and revise the paragraph, and then they have to cite the paragraph that they originally started with and how it changed. So like give them a starting point and a challenge, because I'll tell you what, if I ever use AI, it's always more intense rigorous work for me than it is if I would have just done it on my own. And it's because
that's right. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
It's pushing me to it's pushing me, definitely pushing me to be better.
Well, and back to some technology that's 10 or more years old, spell check and word suggestion in your emails. I mean, the easiest thing is you just dash off an email, say whatever, and hit send. It takes another minute or two to really look and say, oh, do I want to use their suggestions? Or if you're just doing a regular document, oh, am I going to take the time to spell and grammar check it? It looks like I got 12 grammar errors, but who cares? It's good enough. It takes extra time to properly use the information that AI is generating. I know where by the time you view this, we probably will have already hired at least some new consultants for NWET for 24-25 year school year. And some of them are sending in resumes that honestly are gosh awful. One of the things we're looking for everybody that helps provide PD through NWT is that they've got a working knowledge of artificial intelligence. And so I actually have recommended to some, it's like, you know what? Why don't you take your resume and see if AI can't improve it a little bit? Work on formatting or providing more detail or providing less detail, whatever the case might be.
And the thing with
that
that
actually is part of the evaluation that I'm using is I want to see it literally what I'm doing as I'm looking at potential employees and applicants to NWT. I want to see how they used AI to make their resume better. Do they know how to do that? Yeah, Tanya, you were saying.
Well, yeah. So going on with that, so I had a resume and I put it into my perfect resume, and I'm torn about it. One, I was just so excited that it was going to make it better for me, but then I was like spending a lot more time on perfect, because it'll give you suggestions. It'll say associate director of academics. Here are some other, job descriptions or details that you
Which
can
is
add.
what your title is here at NWET.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So it's just like, do you want us to add these? And you have to go through all of them. And it's like this weird list of things that may or may not apply. So again, you can't just put something in there and bloop, bloop, it recognizes everything you're doing and everything's great. And the reason I say this is because not only are people using AI to create the products and the resources to apply for a job, employers are using AI, not NWAT, but are using AI to feed through the terrible
the applicants. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're like, and like I said, I don't know if I told you guys this, but I had applied for a job that literally was called instructional design, and my PhD is in instructional design. So, and engagement, and I read the whole thing. I fit the job perfectly to a T. This is not the only one that this happened with, but I went through the whole process, which wasn't easy. I submitted all my stuff, and within seconds of me submitting it, I got an email that said I did not qualify for that job. And I was like, what made me not qualify for that job? Well, they just had AI go through my CV, or they had AI go through something very quickly and was like, oh, she doesn't she doesn't qualify. And I literally qualified for everything. I have applied for jobs that I don't qualify for things, and those I got interviews for. But yeah, so it's just AI is getting its messy little hands in there. And we just got to be aware of it and know how to utilize it to help us get on the positive side of it.
And I think that's one of the things that anybody, whether you're reviewing applications because you're going to be hiring somebody or you're participating on a hiring committee, or whether you're making application for a new job at the school district you're already at, looking for advancement, from classroom teacher to area director, or, library media specialist, or whatever it might be, you need to be aware of the fact that these applications are being reviewed by AI in many, many instances. And it's looking for certain trigger words. And this is brand new advice that you have not ever heard. I mean, not just from us, but in terms of job applying. By the way, those of you that don't know, Tanya, regrettably, unless we can talk her out of her, she's heading for the West Coast of the United States, and so will no longer be working at NWOET, which we're very sorry to see about, but looking for a new position out there, which is a very technologically advanced area. California, Oregon, Washington State, there's a lot of technology out there, and they tend to be on the leading edge of what's happening. But we're not far behind here in Ohio. And when you see something like that happening, one of the recommendations is to simplify your resume. Just hit the key bullet points. I help design classes. I have led a team of educators designing an online course. You put those bullet points there so the AI says, oh, yes, that does fit the positions that we have open. And, really looking at every single job opening and seeing, do I have a bullet point, something that's super obvious where I meet that criteria, and also that I don't have a lot of things that are different, because unfortunately, those AIs are looking for average people that kind of look like others that have had this position. And one of the concerns there, of course, is it leads its way open to discrimination of all types. And discrimination based on your gender, discrimination based on where you live, discrimination based on the activities you participate in. And I'll give one more example about this, which is scary as heck, and why you don't want to put too much information in your resume. This was a case example. I was not directly involved with it, but it turned out that most members of the management team had played on sports, both in high school and college. And it wasn't just any sport. In particular, they tended to play on the baseball team. And so when the AI was reviewing the resumes of people who already had the job, so that's one of the ways you teach the AI. You say, here are people who have been hired for this position. And it thought that playing on a baseball team was important to this management level position. It probably was not important at all. How that happened, pure coincidence. The hiring manager was a baseball fan and talked with them. We don't know how that happened, but we do know because most of the people who had been hired for that position, and this was a large company that had multiple people. I mean, think of like Burger King, there's thousands of store managers. This was not from Burger King though. And so many people, those resumes are fed in, and you say, these are the top performers in this job category, and the AI looks for similarities, and it sometimes finds similarities that really are valuable. They had a college education, they graduated in the top third of their class, whatever. But sometimes it picks up on coincidences, like, almost 50% of them played college baseball, and it thinks that that's a criteria. So you really have to be careful. One of the things, Tanya, I believe you said, some employers actually give you an option. Please have this reviewed by a human. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, now I mean, I look more closely at what I'm doing when I submit the applications or apply for a job. And one of the last steps, they do have these common things as you go through at the end. So you know you're getting to the end of it, pages, like 3 or 4 pages. But on the very last page, it said, do you opt out of having AI pre-review this? And I stared at it for a while and I was like, I don't want AI to review it. But what are they going to think if I don't want AI to review it? Does that put me in a different category? Does that, do they want me to have AI review it? So I was kind of torn, but I was like, I didn't want it. I didn't want it to look at something because I have done a lot of stuff and my job description is very vast and it could go through the first bullet point and go, nope, this doesn't apply to her. I don't know what it does. Does it scan over it and look at what word comes up the most? Does it, I mean, like you said, is it looking for a certain demographic and I don't fit that demographic because of what I've entered into my, profile narrative, my personal summary, So when it's looking at my CV, I'm like, is it seeing everything? Is it seeing everything that I need it to see? So yeah, so I've been saying no. Since I've been doing that, I get emails back, but those are generated, by a machine.
So,
But other
yeah,
than
so
that, yeah.
we actually have used a pre-screening tool at NWOET in the past. It was a early version. We would not have called it AI at that time. But, we are not a major employer. I mean, we have a handful of employees directly at NWOET, the most at any one time. But the last time that we did a published advertisement for a position, I believe we had 200 and some applicants. Well, it's hard for any hiring committee or any one person to sort through those 200 applicants. So you use some sort of a screening tool. And one of the issues with that, for example, is a minimum requirement for the positions that we're currently advertising at NWET. And again, they may well have already been filled by the time you see this, but we're always interested in people who are interested in working with and for us. But anyway, for the programs that are offered right now, you must be a licensed teacher. Well, that's in the job description. You must be a licensed teacher. Some teachers aren't licensed. They have a teaching certificate. And so if their resume says, I am certified in computer science, or I have an endorsement in computer science, for example, because those words, certified is not in our job description. Endorsement is not in our job description. So if they feature that in their resume, the AI might reject their application, even though they might be the ideal candidate that we're really looking for. Now, I will say, I personally, pat myself on the head. I at least look at the resume of everybody that comes in, and some of the screenings, actually, the majority of the screened are really accurately screened. I mean, there are people, I don't know what they're doing. I guess they're just applying for every job out there. I mean, there are people whose experience is custodial. There's people whose experience are in fast food and nothing, they're not licensed teachers. They've never done any professional development. Their resume does not give any indication that they've even used Google, let alone the kind of skills that we're looking for, but yet they still apply. So I can imagine a major company that probably has thousands or tens of thousands of applications. They need to do something to get rid of the ones that just don't fit. But yet at the same time, you want to make sure that you don't miss, a diamond in the rough, somebody that, wow, this is somebody we really want, but yet their resume is a little bit off in some of the terminology from our job description. So it's another thing, AI powerful tool, but it's scary in the implications. It's all in how we as humans use this new tool.
Exactly, exactly. Very well said. So we will have resources on our website in regards to what we've been talking about today. It's out there. I mean, AI has been being used since 1998. That's Grammarly was out then. Google's always been about and the algorithms that have been looking at what we're searching. So AI has been out there, but I think it's coming to the forefront all of a sudden. And now we need to understand how to use it a little bit better. So look at the resources on our website, on the link on the screen that you see there. And of course, you can email any of us at the emails at the end of this video. We're really glad you were able to join us. Next time, I think I want to show a tool that teachers can use to help students interact more with the content that will raise the learning of topics, maybe an anticipatory set kind of piece, or even deeper. So we'll see you next time, talking probably more about AI. Thank you.